Penn State has begun to produce some good wide receivers over the last few years. Starting with guys like Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin, they eventually moved on to Jahan Dotson and KJ Hamler. Going into 2020, this guy was the next man up, and not only did he live up to the hype, but he has become one of the best wide receiver prospects in the 2022 NFL Draft and one of the most decorated receivers in Penn State football history. In today's video, I want to talk to you about who this player is, how good he was at Penn State, and why he could be the best kept secret in the 2022 NFL Draft. So, without further ado, let's get started. So you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and it is none other than current Penn State wide receiver Jahan Dotson. Going back in time, his family was born in the city of East Orange, New Jersey, but they would later move to a town called Nazareth, Pennsylvania. His father would commute to work each and every day, which was very difficult, but it would work out as his son Jahan would become a star in the area later on. It was tough for the father, but it was even tougher for the mother, as later on in his career, she would battle cancer. Once Jahan got to Penn State, he would notice that. He said, quote, "They've been sacrificing ever since I was a little kid. They worked multiple jobs, just making sure I was in the best place to be successful in life." Jahan eventually got to Nazareth High School and became really good at football. He played both his freshman and sophomore year, but he really started to blow up as a junior and senior. During his senior year, Dotson would catch 15 touchdowns, throw for 3 touchdowns, run for a touchdown, and accumulate nearly 1,200 total yards. That is why he started to get big-time offers from all over the country. Schools like Clemson and Alabama were interested in him, but he wanted to get out of Pennsylvania. He was going to go really far away. He committed to UCLA because he loved everything about his official visit and really liked their head coach Jim Mora. This would happen in the summer of 2017. He chose the Bruins because of the Southern California lifestyle, the warm weather, and the football tradition, so he told his parents that's where he intended to play college football. They were apparently shocked, and they wanted him to stay close to home so they and the rest of his family could watch him play. That's why his commitment was short-lived, as eventually he reopened his recruitment, saying, quote, "It's not official that I'm reopening the process, and I haven't decommitted, but I'm going to take another look at schools like Rutgers, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Syracuse." These were all a little bit closer to home, and he would eventually be put on flip watch. Since Dotson had committed to UCLA when Jim Mora was there, that was a major reason why he went there as well. When Mora was fired, he wasn't comfortable with the new coaching staff, so he decided to decommit. From there, he chose to stay home and play for James Franklin at Penn State, and he'd be joining 2 more big-time players in his class, including 5-star wide receiver Justin Shorter and 4-star receiver Daniel George. But why did he give up that Cali lifestyle to sit in the mountains of Pennsylvania? Well, let's ask him. He said, quote, "It just kept ringing on my mind. Something kept coming up and it just didn't feel right that I wasn't staying home and wasn't playing for Penn State." At first, the scholarship math did not add up for Jahan, but then some players decommitted. According to Jahan, though, he was always welcome at State College. He said, quote, "My dad asked Coach Franklin, 'Does he still have a scholarship here, Coach?' And Coach Franklin was like, 'He's always had a scholarship here.' We just kind of lost communication." Apparently, before Franklin could even finish that sentence, his dad said that Jahan would be going there. That's pretty much how his recruitment and how his commitment to Penn State would go, and they never looked back from there. Dotson was obviously a great player at Nazareth High School, but now he'd be taking it to an even bigger stage. According to 24/7 Sports, Jahan Dotson was a 4-star player, the number 36 wide receiver, and the 192nd best player in the class of 2018. How would he do at Penn State? Well, it'd go really well. In 2018, he'd have a minimal role as he caught 13 passes for 203 yards and 0 touchdowns. 2019, he began to emerge alongside their star, KJ Hamler, and their new quarterback, Sean Clifford. Clifford would later become one of his best friends on the team and the guy who would throw him the ball the next 2 years. With Hamler going to the NFL, he would have to step up in a huge way in 2020. 500 yards and 5 touchdowns from his prior year would not be enough, as he would really have to increase those numbers. That is exactly what he did. He'd go for nearly 100 yards and a touchdown in their weird overtime loss to Indiana, and then in week 2, he put on a show and showed just how good of a player he was. Against number 3 Ohio State, he caught 8 passes for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he continued his success as he caught a career-high 9 passes for 123 yards and a touchdown against Maryland the following week. He'd go for 8 catches and 139 yards in a score against Iowa, and with him playing this level of football, you'd think Penn State would be having success, right? No. They were 0-5. This was unbelievably bad for Penn State football standards, and they would need to get it together. They would win their 4 last games, and Dotson would end up having his best game of his career in one of those. Against Illinois, he caught 6 passes for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns, and finished the 2020 campaign strong. He caught a total of 52 balls for 884 yards and 8 scores, and that yardage led the entire Big Ten Conference, which is why he was an all-conference player, and to some people, a borderline All-American. He could have gone to the 2021 NFL Draft, but he decided he was going to come back. So how would he do? Well, he caught over 100 yards and a touchdown in their Week 1 win against Wisconsin, and then had a career-high 10 catches for 78 yards and a score in their whiteout victory over number 22 Auburn. He went off against Villanova, had 2 touchdowns against Indiana, and then had 11 catches for 127 yards in a close loss to Ohio State. Then, his best game of his career would happen that would go on to define his legacy. In a road victory over Maryland, he caught 11 passes for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns, one of which went 86 yards. This was insanity, and he put himself in the Penn State record books with that one. After the Maryland game, he said, quote, "I'm literally a kid out here having fun, and I'm playing the game that I love. Games like this are special. I had a lot of my family members here today, and a lot of them were seeing me play. It was amazing." He finished the year strong with a touchdown against Rutgers and 2 more touchdowns in a road loss to Michigan State, but the Nittany Lions would have a bounce-back year in which they went 7-5. He caught 91 passes for 1,182 yards and 12 touchdowns while becoming a first-team All-Big Ten selection and an All-American. He finished his Penn State career with 183 catches, 2,757 receiving yards, 27 touchdowns, and many honors. He definitely left Happy Valley as one of the most decorated receivers in program history, and now it was time for him to go on to the NFL. And at one point, he was ranked as high as the number 8 prospect in the draft. As of right now, he's seen as a surefire first or second round pick, but most people aren't really talking about him. Not only is he quick, but he has amazing hands, was a crisp route runner, and was extremely productive at Penn State, so there's honestly nothing you can really find wrong with his game. He is only 5'11", so maybe you want him to be a little bit taller, but besides that, Dotson has done everything he can to become a big-time NFL prospect, and as of right now, many people think he could get drafted by the Packers. Either way, Dotson will be ready, as he has been preparing for this moment for a long time. He said, quote, "I'm ready for it. I've been waiting my whole life for this moment. I can't wait to take it all in, especially with my family there by my side. My parents have been sacrificing since I was a little kid to put me in the best position possible to be successful. Finally seeing it all pay off is going to be really cool." In terms of NFL comparisons, I keep seeing T.Y. Hilton or Emmanuel Sanders, and if he lives up to that, he's going to have a nice NFL career. I think Dotson's the best kept wide receiver secret in the draft, and could be someone that has a huge career if put in the right spot. What do you guys think though? If you're a Penn State fan, what do you think of Jahan Dotson? If you're a fan of another school, who is your best kept secret in the 2022 NFL Draft? And what players should I take a look at next? Be sure to let me know down below. Smash that like button if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.